Mhm. Hello everyone. Today I wanted to discuss something that I was waiting for this baby to come for a long time. Now, this here is an official hitbox, right? And as you can see, it has changed the plexi here. Doesn't have the original plex on top, and it doesn't have the original buttons on top. But they're pretty much the same, from what I understand at least. The mod done that was done. This was me purchasing a hitbox from another place. As I live in Australia, I just didn't want to give $100 to getting on top of the 250. That is the retail price for this. So this was pretty good deal for me because the person was very generous. Inside, they were not only offering that they upgraded the PCB to the PS4 audio, uh, PS4 audio Brooks adapter, but they also were having inside the UP5, which is this makes it totally ready to go on and play immediately anything for PlayStation 5 games, which was godsend. I tested it myself. Now this capture I'm using is from computer, is not from my PlayStation 5, but I tested with all my PS5 games and I didn't have any issues. It was working exactly as a normal stick would on PS4 mode. So, and I'm saying that I mean that if it was on a PS4. Moreover, let's gather some thoughts, right? This looks a little bit different from what I had before. To show you what I had before, I had this thing before, and this thing was kind of DIY project, not really from me. It was a Chinese maker that I found like years ago before COVID. I think it was just right before COVID that I was trying to explore AliExpress and the other Chinese store. I remember the name. I forgot the name, but I brought it not from AliExpress, but from another place. And this was the Excellence. Yeah, it was the Excellence arcade. While I was having this is still pretty good, right? I tried different combinations of buttons. I tried the sun ones. I tried the punk warsong buttons, pretty good buttons, but was not really what I'm not sure. Like maybe this goes too beefy. Like if you see, it's quite. Let me just get it here. Yeah, it's quite thick compared to the others. It is quite thick and it makes my hands a little bit too tall on my desk. Didn't really feel too comfortable. And on the new setup that I use, because at the time after that I used to move house and I had a completely different desk. This now feels just a bit too tall to use because I don't have too much space to just lean back with my chair in the office. In the office area that I have in this house. Now, of course, you can just play normally if you choose to go to the couch. This was nice. This had inside the PCB that I believe the original Hitbox also has. It has the PCB inside that is from Brook, and it's the square one. I'm too bored to open it now, but it has exactly that inside. It's pretty much the same combination of things. Um, but yeah, it was different. It had the larger buttons. This frame is pretty much a copy paste from the Mad Catz T1, but it's a little bit smaller, in a smaller factor. This was comfortable, but I felt like it's just too bulky. And I wanted to try also a different style from the bigger buttons. One of the reasons why I got this one, the original Hitbox, and I also wanted to. I had the opportunity to just try it, and I wanted to check how it is. Now, what else I had here is that I had this bad boy. Now, this was a not very successful buy, I will guess. The person I bought this from was a maker, kind of tried to use the OpenStick project on this one, the JP2040. And on this thing, the biggest flaw that this one had was the buttons. The buttons were not printed correctly, and I had to literally glue the keycaps in order to stay there. Some of the hot swaps are not performing very well as well, but I really like this thing. It's just portable if you're just gonna go to some friend's house and mess around, or you don't want to carry too many things. Because one of the issues that I had with this bad boy is that it's just humongous too and heavy. I love that it's heavy because I love like it. For some stupid reason, it feels premium to you when something is heavy and you have it on your lap. But when I have it on my desk, it just makes everything shake, and I hate that. But yes, like when I was using this as my main drive, it was feeling pretty premium. Passing to this now, I know that I'm kind of going over the point, but I just wanted to show that I had many different experiences with hitboxes and fight sticks before. This is not my first buy that just didn't like it or something. Now this one, I really liked it because it makes your hands stay in a nice place. Now the thing is a bit if you move around, that could be a problem. But usually the way that you will play the hitbox wouldn't really be like staying like this. It will be like gentle on top of it, like you're playing the piano on top of it. And you're just doing your things, scrubby things. As you can see, I'm fucking bronze, so what can I say? My gameplay is not that good, especially in this game. Didn't really play this game. Anyway, besides the point. I want to say that this was a failed project because it had many flaws, like it wouldn't work with USB-C to USB-C for some reason. Cables that I bought, it was only working with USB-A on the other side. Many other people had problems with this from the specific buyer. I will not really recommend unless you're really just you really just want to try it out. Like at the time that I bought this, it was like around 100 Australian dollars, but now it's way higher. So I definitely don't recommend unless you just want to kind of gamble. I mean, this is still working, right? I can use it in and it works. And it works really good with my Steam Deck. But I feel that the keycap, probably at some point when I start getting bored, I will just remove all the sockets of the glued shit that I have here, and I will just buy some keycaps from a specific buyer, from a specific maker that makes 24 millimeters and Kali switch. Well, you guessed it, it's junk for arcade. At some point I will get it from there, and then I will try this project probably sometime later. It still works as it is, so like if I wanna quickly mess around, I don't really have a problem. The PCB inside this is the Pi Pico, which makes it super cheap to develop, but also is the fastest on PC because it has the polar rate locked in. You don't have to overclock, you don't have to do anything. Out of the box, 1000 megahertz of polar rate, pretty good. Now there are definitely, if you're interested in this kind of controller, there are definitely many other makers. You can try to go into the OpenStick community, and they have many people that make this specific kind of model. Now I'm not saying it's a copy paste the whole thing. Everyone tries to make it unique to show that it's their own, but the general principle is around the same. But they change some key factors, like the ones the ones made usually by the Western community are more reliable and they're more tested, and there are definitely people there that can vouch for what is good or not. Now for Australia, like, as you can understand, the biggest thing that you could see immediately is like, junk for arcades. Why don't you get the micro? Well, it was always out of stock, and it was also very, very expensive for what it was. I don't believe I would ever use this in a local unless the local specifically had, I know, or the tournament, I know that it will have spacious desk, like here. Like, it doesn't have to be spacious, but it has to be a desk. You can't put this on your lap. Like, maybe you can, depends on your body size, I guess, but I'm a fatso, so as you can understand from the voice. So yeah, this definitely doesn't, I can't just put this on one lap and be, oh yeah, alright, I can play. No. I really liked the tiny factor, I really liked the button placement, it felt comfy, but I wouldn't take it anywhere unless I knew there was a desk. And here is where I had the idea, like, what it would be to have a hitbox, right? The official hitbox. What it would be like. And here is where it comes, this one, right? Now, compared to the previous one, the bigger button that I had, it was way more bulkier. Like, this one is way thinner. Let me just get it on the right place. Yeah, this is way thinner. It has a nice touch on the bottom. Here, all of this is I don't know what the material is, but it feels like a soft cushion like, and yeah, it's definitely very good. It also came, like, the person was very careful with it, and it came very good shipped. One thing that I want to say from the start that I hate is this thing. I hate this connector, and I hate that they have made it in a way that you can only use this. It kind of tries to fizz you for it may be cool to have it now, but if it breaks or this connector breaks, good luck trying to get the metal around to get a USB outside from that. I'm not sure. Probably you can do it with, if you can get a connector outside, a female connector, and then you can have it around something. Maybe. I'm not sure if it fits though. Either way, I don't like that they don't give you a choice. This is all the new hitboxes that are coming with, by the way. They will have this called aviator connector. And you cannot find the cable by itself outside of Hitbox. I have not found it. I tried to find it, and all I could see is that people were saying that you would have to make your own cable. And I was like, if I would go that far, I would just replace this whole thing and probably just put a USB-C female inside. Which probably is what I will do in the long run, but for now, I don't want to mess it up too much. Everything, I just received this today. Everything works as I expected. The only thing that I had at the start that was kind of finicky was I didn't know that they give you option for 2 SOCD modes from Brooks. So I connected them, but while I was waiting for their answer, I just saw that you can just put the pin. There is a thing in there, and you could put it on the other pins, and then it will get you to the right SOCD mode. I did it, so, you know, like left and right, gives you neutral. The person before had it on to have like left and right, it will give you the opposite direction. So like I will continue walking forward if I did the other direction. So left and right, it will give you right, and the vice versa. Either way, I didn't like that, so I went back to what I was used to before, to the normal SOCD. Now, a few things that I want to say. Maybe in the camera is not really visible, but compared to this, right? So this is just, on top of it is exactly the same layout. I'm not sure how visible it can be, but it is very similar. Because I was used to this, because I was used to this, it was way easier for me to get used to this. Like, it was immediately. I have played with some people on my locals that were playing the Gundam games. Shout outs to Kitten Lover. And yeah, that guy showed me kind of a hitbox, how it works with the smaller buttons. So from the start, I wanted to kind of check it out. So let's go again to a little bit of a comparison to this. This one, right? I'm not sure if I can get them both on camera, but I will try. So, whoop. Yeah, as you can see here, I had to kind of DIY an anti-slip mat. Okay, so you can see here, I think it's pretty visible that this is way thicker and way bigger as well. If I put it on top of it, yeah, it's way bigger. On top of it, of course, all of it. And I think the idea for this one, I just checked because like I work here on this place as well, so I just put on top of here my work's full keyboard. My work's full keyboard is this one, and it's pretty much. Whoop, let me just get it all. Yeah, it's pretty much the same size as a full-size keyboard, right? It sits nicely on the desk. You know, you just pick up. Oh, you just pick up your keyboard, you put it there, and it's pretty much the same size except the freaking aviator cable. But everything else is like a keyboard. This is quite big, so you can put it on your lap, and it's nice and comfy because of the nice cushion that they have put there. Pretty nice of them. Overall, I'm not gonna lie. I thought this was way too expensive for what it would be, but I have been really surprised by the quality. So like the quality on this one is pretty good. The good thing when you have a thing like this is that you have a specific form factor, and because you have the specific form factor, it's easy to get things to replace. So like for example, it's very easy to go get a plexi. You don't have to fiddle with other things, transforming your stick, get a specific plexi. Oh, you want to make your stick a hitbox? Well, too bad. Your stick is too old. We don't sell hoarded up for plexis anymore. So there is these kind of things that are very weird with how you can make hitboxes at the moment. And I think it's pretty cool that you can have a factor like this, and it's kind of a universal thing. Most likely, I will change the buttons, personal touch. I will change the buttons. I will probably put something like either gamer finger or the newest ones from the guy from China. He makes really good buttons. The Punk Workshop. I really like him. I will leave some links for him if anyone is interested for his buttons. They're pretty good mechanical buttons. If you don't want to wait 6 months for the gamer finger, that's usually how long it takes. Now, let's go to something else, right? This immediately played out of the box. It was already configured. I didn't have to do anything. The only thing I had to change was the SOCD. It plays immediately. With the UP5, it plays immediately to the PS5. I didn't have to configure anything. The buttons, even the touch button works. Now in the computer, this doesn't do anything. The touch button doesn't do anything. You kind of have to get used to these buttons because they're not like the other one I used to. Maybe I will rewire them later, but I think it's fine. I will get used to it eventually. I feel that this one, like you see, right? Like if you have a quite big hands, you kind of like big hands like this, you're barely fitting your hands in, right? So many people would think like when I saw this at the start, first of all, I thought it was way bigger, right? I thought it was way bigger. No one really. All the other reviews I have seen, no one really talks about the size of this. No one really talks that this about like a little bit bigger, a little bit wider on the top side, on the height. It's just a little bit wider than a keyboard, and a full-size keyboard. And that's pretty important because looking at it from so many people, maybe those people just have small hands, but all the reviews I saw, I was expecting something way bigger, right? I was expecting something chunky. And it really wasn't the case. It really surprised me. Now, what I want to say about this is like maybe someone sees this, right? And they think, oh, like where do you rest your hand? The thing is about hitboxes, as you saw before, even with this. You don't really want to rest your hands anyway. So like in this situation, the hitbox really knows how to use its space efficiently. If you really want to rest, you can just put your hands like this if you want to do nothing. But usually the way that you play hitbox is you just want to hover over. If you try to push your hands like some certain people try to do when they were learning this thing, if you push your hands down, that will fuck you up. That's what I did, by the way, as well. And it really made me stop playing because I thought like, what is this? Why is it like this? Why is my hands hurting? And it's not even like my hands, right? It's my wrists. My wrists are hurting. If I can find them on camera, my wrists are hurting here. And it was not even as sharp as this, right? Because this plexi, everywhere else, like except this area here, everywhere else this plexi is quite sharp, and I'm not sure if this custom plexi was made to not have this sharp edge here, but all the other edges have it, or it was the work of the person that owned this hitbox before and they just did it with a sandpaper, with a fine sandpaper, and they just trimmed it down. It doesn't seem to be the case because it's really well done, but there is a chance that they did it. Either way, that's beside the point. I just wanted to point it out because it can seem on the camera that, oh, this seems kind of like, you know, just on top of the plexi, it doesn't have anything else to rest. And when you play on this hitbox, right? When you play on this hitbox, you don't want to really put your hands in there to make them, let's just make the, like, you don't want them to be here, your hands. You want them to be on top. You want them to be free. You don't, especially like it's way easier when you have it in your lap because it's very natural stance. But when you're like in your desk, as I am right now, it's still fine. You can just hover like you would hover over your hands in your in the other position. You just have to get a little bit used to it, but it's not anything draining. Like when you start having your hands naturally like this, you really don't have any problem. Right? You really don't have any problem at all. So I really like the factor with the smaller buttons. It feels good. I feel that like this was my favorite style. I should have went from the start. I liked the factor, but it was like at the time the place that I found on the other Chinese app that was selling it like that. The thing that I saw at the start, it was like, what was it? I think it was 150 Australian dollars with the shipping expenses as well. So I was like, this is too good a deal. I want to try it. And this was before the PS5 even came out. So yeah, definitely like, if you want to try it out, I would suggest to give it a try with someone in your local if you can. If you can't, and if you don't have a local, totally fine. You can just watch some videos for other people that you think you might like it, and don't forget that you can always, most likely, a lot of the things you can return them with no problem, even from AliExpress or eBay or something like that. I will not try to get something new if you are new here and if you want to try something. Like better try a used thing rather than a new thing, unless you really know you want it. At least that's how I work in these things. All right, and especially like if you're new to something, there is many chances that people in this community will actually give you a better price if you want to try something out. So definitely having a community near you, it will be kind of helpful to you. I think it's cool. Anyway, more about the specific here that we have. I believe so far I have been very satisfied. Outside of the aviator thing that I hate, everything else is kind of screaming quality on this one. So like you can change anything you want on the top. It's very easy to mod. It's made to mod, even though they don't advertise it. It's specifically made to mod. All you have to do is just like unplug the Plex. It's like the easiest mod I have ever done. it's harder to imagine. The hardest thing that you have to do in this one is just unplug the buttons. Everything else. Oh, it also has inside the quick release ones, which is pretty good. And they had insulation. I'm not sure if it was a mod or not. So that was good. The buttons, these buttons, of course, they're not the ones that came with, and the art is not what it came with. I still like the person even sent me the original things except the buttons, which was pretty cool. Now, for what I bought it, this was a very good purchase for me, and I believe it's gonna be probably my main hitbox. Like, as I tried so far to play, it feels very comfortable, and it feels like what this thing couldn't do. This thing couldn't be taken with you outside. At least for me, right? I'm a fatso. So maybe something like maybe that's where they came the idea for the micro XL. They wanted to match the size of the hitbox and be like, okay, you fatsos can play too, which may be a good thing. And I think it kind of lowered down the price of the original hitbox, so that's good. But I still, unless I know for sure that I like the feeling of the directly key switches, I wouldn't. At first, like if I could, I would go with a hitbox like this because you're more familiar with the buttons. Like the other buttons are way different feel. It feels like you're typing with a keyboard, and depends on the printed keys. Your experience will vary definitely because it's printed products. So something like Sanwa will feel way better than a really bad printed key. Definitely way better. But for feedback, it's different. Like these buttons have completely different feedback than what you will get from a tactile feel that you will get from this. Oop. Definitely, I like these buttons better. So probably that's why I will get mechanical buttons for this one as well. Either way, I feel that this is a very good way. Like even the official hitbox has already guides to do mods and stuff like that. Now, I really wish that they kind of change this way that they do things. First, I want them to just completely remove this aviator plug. I hate it. It's impossible to actually find outside of paying $30. And imagine now, you're in somewhere outside of America, right? How are you gonna get this thing? I'm gonna pay like $30, and how much I'm gonna pay for the thing? Like 50 USD, probably more USD. I'm gonna pay for the shipping rather than the expense itself, and I'm like, there is no way that I will do that. Of course, it's also out of stock right now. In the time of recording is first of the month, 1st of March 2023. But as it's standing, this is how it is right now. Outside of that, I believe that the quality for this controller is amazing. I love that this is metal. You touch it and you feel like this thing is a tank. Like whatever you do to it, it won't happen anything to it. And if you break the plexi, you can definitely get one easy, whatever happens. Like everything inside it is very comfortably made. Nothing feels very forced. You can definitely, if you want, like you can disconnect the hitbox stuff from inside and just put your stuff. That's fine. I'm not sure how well it will do without you modding the aviator plug. That is one thing to be considered as well. If you want to draw power from directly the Brook board, there is a chance that you could just not use one button and get a door inside. That is possible. I'm not sure if you can install the door correctly though, with something like a screwdriver, but maybe you could use a glue and just have it there. And definitely possible. There is a possibility of me thinking about it, but for right now, I want to leave it like this because it still works. I'm not very mad at this port yet, so that's okay. We will see though. We will see how it goes. Now, outside of all of this, the feel, as I said, is very premium. You won't feel anything unless you try to force your hands to be resting in this edge of the plexi, which is very bad for blood circulation. Please don't do this. You're supposed to hover, and you're not supposed to just like play with your hands sitting on top of it. Because if you do, it will be bad in the long run. You will have bad habits. At least this is what I know from my perspective. I could be completely wrong, but my experience so far using all kind of DIY, this Hitbox controller and the other Hitbox controllers that I have, every time the hovering is the way to go on these controllers. Anything else felt forced, just hurt my wrists, and it just felt very awkward when I was forcing myself, thinking that okay, I'm getting used to this. That's why it hurts. Like the stick, my hand will be sore for a while after using the stick for too long at the start. But that was not the case. Not the case at all. You're not supposed to feel painful, like very painful, like when you did with a sore arm when you were doing with the stick movements. This is what I think of the hitbox. And the UPA inside, as far as I have tested it, I want to do a separate review for the UP5, which is like the Brook adapter. It was super easy to install. I just saw it. All I had to do was use a little bit of a screwdriver action, and that was all. Like I just had to install the wires to what it was saying, and just put two cables in there. That's all you had to do. You didn't even have to do anything crazy, which is very good. I really hate when mods require soldering when it's supposed to be for a broad audience, and that the broad audience never has soldering tools, and most likely never wants to touch them either way. It feels outside of the whole sphere. It feels kind of like, oh, no way I'm going there. And that's why there is so many things like easy boards for JSON customs and stuff like that that just don't need you to do any soldering. Pretty successful products. All right. To close my thoughts, I believe that this is a very good controller for the price. For the price, right? I feel for the price it's a very good controller, but not with the guts that it has inside. There is no way that I will suggest to someone to pay $250 and get that connector that they have inside. I think the default connector right now is the square adapter from I might be wrong on this, but I think the default adapter inside is the square one from Brook, and it's just on top of an easy board, kind of an easy board. It's just like something soldered on top of it. Actually, no, it's not soldered. You just have to put it on top of it. And using that one, you will be able to play with a PC, PS3, PS4. It's exactly like the DIY from China that I had. And I don't think with that price range, you should be getting that kind of a board. You should at least be getting the PS4 audio one that, to be honest, all of them have now expandability. You can connect them all with the UP5, which is really amazing for Brook. I wanted to say as well that they have managed to update all their firmwares and everything works with the UP5 connector now. That is great because many people had DIY things and didn't want to specifically install the UFB, the Universal Fighting Board, which is amazing, but not everyone wants to do that. And not everyone wants to spend, like, instead of 100 Australian dollars, to spend double to get the UFB and the UP5, which is what they retail for right now. And those things will start getting, the moment Street Fighter 6 comes out, they will start selling like crazy hotcakes right now. So definitely think about getting a UP5 before Street Fighter as fast as you can if you are interested, or if you have a PS5, because if things started to get into PS5 and you don't have one, it's gonna be really annoying if you have a hitbox. If you have a stick, you most likely don't need to change anything, unless you have a Brook fatting board inside. Either way, that was my general thoughts. This video started initially as my impressions of the hitbox, but what I ended up doing was most likely about my experience with hitboxes and how this experience compares so far, and the impressions that I had with the official hitbox compared to DIY ones and projects that are like mini hitboxes. So thanks everyone for watching, and I hope you have a great day. And you have any